Thank you again for joining us today. My name is Kilian Ordelheide. I'm the Director of Communications and Outreach at AUP, and my team has put together this pre-orientation session to help you get acclimated with AUP, to learn how your student is going to learn at AUP and what their experience will be like, either for a semester or for the next 4 years as they embark on this exciting journey with us. As Dana mentioned, we're just a few days away from orientation before the start of the new academic year. And I imagine that you're just as excited as we are to get this one started. Today's program revolves around campus resources. So you're going to hear from some of my colleagues across campus about what your student can expect as they start their journey with us, how they will be supported on campus, but also what opportunities there are for them, particularly as it relates to academic resources, special programming such as the GPS program, and student activities and clubs. For that, today with us is again my colleague from the first session, if you joined us earlier this week, Donna Callahan, our Family Relations Manager, who most of you will know at this point. Also with us are Kevin Dixie, our Head of Academic Technology, Safia Ben-Yahia, our Student Leadership Program Manager, and Liliana Yankova, our GPS Program Manager. Liliana and Safia, just like myself, we're also alumni, and Kevin Dixie and Donna Callahan are both AP parents. So you get the full AP experience today and can be sure that even before arriving in Paris, you get all the information that you need. Just as a reminder, this session is recorded. So if you need to drop off halfway through or anything like that, you'll be able to watch the recording probably early to mid next week, as we'll try to get that up for you as soon as possible. That will go up on the orientation page on the AP website, where you will have also learned about pre-orientation and the in-person orientation in just a couple of weeks. We'll also email that to all of you. So if you can't find that page, don't worry about it. We'll be sure to get that to your inbox as soon as possible. Now, today is a webinar format as opposed to the meeting format we had earlier this week, so we can't interact directly with you as we did in the first session. However, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a little two chat windows icon. That is the Q&A session, the Q&A section. And so you'll be able to put your questions in there. And as we go through the webinar, we'll refer to that section, or we'll answer your questions directly in there to make sure that we cover all of the questions that you have leading up to orientation. Ideally, if possible, try to limit your questions to everything related to campus resources, since that's really what we want to focus on today. There's 2 other virtual information sessions coming next week, at which point we'll go over other topics that you might have questions on. So be sure to join those sessions as well. In the meantime, if any other questions come up, or if we don't get to yours today, feel free to email Donna at parents@aup.edu. Just keep in mind that she is really a one-woman army. So with all the questions that we get at the moment, it might take a little bit longer than usual to get back to you. So without any further ado, I'll let my colleagues get this program started for you today. Thank you again for joining us. We're so excited to welcome you and your students in Paris in just a few days. And I'll send this over to you now, Donna.
Thank you, Kilian. And I just wanted to say welcome again to everyone. It's wonderful to have you join us either virtually, live virtually, or as part of the recording later. So thank you so much. I do have a couple of things to follow up on from our first session. The student airport shuttle sign-up link is now available for your students in their student portal. So if your students can go into their My AUP status page and find that sign-up link, just a reminder, the shuttle will run on the 26th and the 28th, and it is for students only. And we are only picking up at Charles de Gaulle Airport. So have them go in. If you have any questions about that, if your students have any questions about that, reach out to your admissions counselor at admissions@aup.edu, and we'll be happy to answer questions on that. I also have a special note for our first year degree seeking and transfer students, student families, excuse me. There is a retreat on Sunday for this cohort. They will be busy from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. So if you've got some plans that you're thinking about doing on Sunday, just plan to have your student maybe have dinner with you, because they will be in an orientation retreat all day for our degree seeking and transfer students. So students that will be with us for 4 years or to complete their degree. Today's presentation is a new addition to our orientation lineup. This was requested. This was actually our #1 requested topic from parents that attended Family Weekend as well as parent orientation last year. So I'm super excited to to be able to present this to all of you and for my colleagues to tell you a little bit, about what is available for students on campus. We know that the more connected your student is to the campus, whether they're with us for a semester, a year, 4 years, 6 years in my case, the more they're going to get out of this experience. We have a semester of yes in our family. It's typically your second semester in college. And that is the semester when someone says to you, hey, let's go do, as long as it's not illegal and as long as you won't die, you have to say yes. So if they say, let's go try this new place in this neighborhood that you've never been to, you have to say yes, because that's the essence of life, isn't it? We got to try things out to see how it works. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. So in your family resource guide, all of these departments have a little section. So I encourage you to take a look at the resource guide and then look for those. At the bottom of the pages, there's topics to discuss with your students to start some conversations. And again, if you have questions, lob them in the Q&A. You can email me at parents@aup.edu. If you have questions throughout the year about any of these departments, like how do I get my kid to go do blah, email me. I'm happy to chat and to give you some resources on how to have a semester of yes, truthfully. So without further ado, I'm going to lob this over to Safia so she can tell us about student leadership, clubs and activities on campus. So with that, Safia, take it away.
Thank you, Donna. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and for having me. So my name is Safia. I'm very excited to be here. This is my first time presenting to families. And I'll start just with a quick introduction before I go into the logistics, because so what I do is I manage the student activities, and I definitely second what Donna just said about how the more students get involved, the more they seem to get out of the experience. I've been in this job for 5 years. I'm going into the 6th. And I think what I love so much about working with student activities is that I get to work with the students who just want to get involved in these activities. They just want to get involved, whether it's volunteer work or it's something more academically related, it's artistic or sports. I have a colleague working on sports. I'll talk a bit about that. But that's what's really rewarding, is that you really see how this is how the students meet people, make friends, build lasting relationships. And I do tend to see a difference in their level of engagement with the university when they get involved in extracurriculars, whereas when they don't. And I think what's so hard with AUP specifically is that we're kind of competing with Paris a little bit, because there's so much to do in Paris, especially for people who come for 3 to 4 months. I don't see as many visiting students. There's just so much people just want to travel. And I encourage every student to find the right balance between, you know, traveling and taking advantage of what Paris has to offer, and also engaging with our community at AUP so that they feel engaged and supported in school. So that's my first little kind of spiel about why I want to encourage students to get involved. So I'm going to share my screen just to give you some visuals. I think it's easier if I do the full screen, because I'm going to jump around a little bit with a website. So I think here it's going to, you're going to see everything. All right. Donna, interrupt me if there's a technical problem, but I think this should work. So basically, the first thing I'm going to talk about is that we have roughly 30 student organizations. I focus primarily on the clubs. You know, these are what we call clubs, but they're really student organizations. I'm like the middle woman, the coordinator, to make sure that these clubs can operate. But we're working with adults here at a university, so they're largely just run by the students themselves. And so here I have the link of AUP Engage, which is our platform. And so I wanted to show you this directly. So I logged out on purpose so that you can see what it looks like in case you were curious to browse through what our campus has to offer. So these are the organizations. If you go to the homepage, it's engage.aup.edu, but when you go to our AUP website, it will link to you very easily, but it's an outside page. So you see all kinds of different things. Students are going to be posting events of what's going on. So our Student Government Association even posted their internal training. We've got a lot of, this is mostly going to be university services that are posting events that are targeted to students, because they know that students use this platform. And once the school year starts again, the students themselves, all the different clubs will be posting events. I mean, I'm counting several hundred events every year. So we have, for such a small school, it's a pretty active community. And here, when you see the organization, depending on people's interests, we have some categories, which include some of the university offered services targeted to students. But for example, I don't know, I'm going to pick on my favorite because that's what I did when I was a student. I was involved in the performing arts. So we have a lot right here. And here you can see these different clubs, and then you can click on them. And here's a disclaimer that's very important. The students themselves run these pages. So we supervise in case there's anything really, really problematic, but they run it themselves. So this means that it's a great, leadership opportunity, great professional development opportunity for them in terms of communications, in terms of really taking ownership of their activities. It also means that they're volunteers and they're not always keeping things up to date. And that's an important disclaimer. And that's why I'm also here as a resource, and Donna, to help in case there's anything. So here, this is important because here there's a little sign in to view officers, because the information about the students is not public. But the students, once they enroll at AUP, they can sign in and they can see the leaders, they can see the names of their peers who are leading the groups if they want to get in touch with them. So this is just one easy way for everybody to see what they're doing. And I find, this generation is very tech savvy. They tend to navigate this very easily and find this platform. Again, the limitation is that some groups are going to be more organized than others, and some are going to be more responsive than others. So for that, I have some other tips. So to get involved, so there's not just, I talked about AUP Engage, but there's also, we do an event called Clubs Night on the second Tuesday of every semester. So every September and every January, we do this huge event. I've never had attendance issues. All the clubs are excited to show up. They're excited to recruit new students, and new students are usually happy to go to. Sometimes there's a little free food, or they'll come in. It's kind of quick, and because it's a small community, students really get to meet a face and get some personalized information and connect. So that's really one of the huge ways I think that people get involved and integrated into the community. I'm also putting student advisors, which I think you've heard about because there's some of the students who are picking up your children at the airport, part of the team who will be helping at orientation. They're a huge resource because when we're talking about student life, there's only so much that we can do as staff, right? Because we're talking about their social lives and it's really run by themselves. So the student advisors who are both, working with us and their peers themselves, they tend to make connections. So somebody will say, I'm interested in futsal, and they'll say, oh, it's my friend who's running this. And then they'll kind of make the connection. It's a very small university. So if I just encourage every new student to talk to student advisors about their interests and to ask them what they like to get involved in. That's how they often kind of find out about different clubs, and that social aspect I think is really important. The last one I will highlight is journalism, because our Peacock Media program is directly integrated into the journalism program. So it's a little bit different from the other clubs that are entirely run by students. It's still student-led, but there's a course that they can enroll in. They're also working directly with faculty and getting course credit for the articles that they're writing. So that's something just to put on the radar for anybody interested in journalism. I will also highlight student government, because this is, I think, one of the biggest differences from high school to university is how students run these organizations themselves. I always joke, but it's very serious, that the student government has a lot more power than me at this university, because they're the ones who manage the money, and they're the ones who have direct channels to talk to high-level administrators at this university. So they are a very, very important group. So I think we have a pretty positive relationship with our student government. It's a small school, so we work with them very closely. But they so it's like this hand-in-hand collaboration to support student activities. So really, I kind of administrate them to make sure that they're off and running, they have the access. I manage the platform, and then student government manages the money. They're supervised by the Dean of Student Development. It's university money, but they're the ones who manage it. They have a very detailed process, democratic process, to kind of distribute the funds amongst the students. This also means that student government in itself is a great opportunity for students to get involved. And I really encourage new students to not be intimidated to run for elections. We have a lot of students who are a bit shy, but I think we have a relatively big student government for our size, which means that we usually have a lot of positions available. It's not too competitive. So, and it's a great way for students to not only, build skills and experience, but also to connect with other students. It's a community in itself. We have maybe 25 active members. And here's a little bit of a link because again, they're so important. There's a link on the website that also highlights elections specifically because we have elections at the start of the fall semester and the spring semester. And so it's really, I know that there are open senator positions. And then if anybody's really too shy to run for an election, there are other positions available amongst the committees as well. So I don't want to lose you in all the details, but I just want to mention it so that you know that it's a very, people can think of running for an election as being intimidating, but really it's a very warm process, I would say, at AUP. And then also, I don't own leadership at AUP, even though I have the name in my office. There's so many more opportunities that I'm just putting a quick list over there, and any student who's interested in this can talk to their student advisors, can come speak to me. And if you have more questions, of course, you can talk to Donna, who works with some of our colleagues. So I mentioned student government, student advisors, those are leadership positions as well if they want to join their second year and lead the new students. Sports. So my colleague, we do have a separate office for the sports. Sports are being so physical and potentially dangerous. We have an office that manages sports activities specifically, and they include leadership opportunities, especially team captains. Some of them run more recreational sports teams that are a bit like the clubs. So my colleague is also available at orientation. He kind of does tryouts, but again, it's very welcoming. We're not a sports school, so it's really more for anybody who's just interested in staying active and pursuing a hobby, and it's also very social. So we have sports available, campus ambassadors through admissions, art tutors. Kevin, my colleague who's on the call, might mention this. We have a diversity council working with faculty and advisory board for environmental sustainability. We have research labs, we have internships, GPS program, which Liliana will talk about. So really there's so many opportunities beyond just everything that is student led for students to build their skills, get involved, and build community, and build a community at AUP. So now kind of to summarize a little bit, AUP being so small and with activities being very social, I think it's one of the main reasons students join is because they want to make friends. Most of them get involved with a personal introduction. So really student advisors, orientation, student advisors work with students throughout the whole semester, by the way. So if they are late to orientation for whatever reason, that doesn't mean that they will miss all chances of getting involved. They're going to be a great resource to get them connected. Information is kind of is centralized on Engage. So that's the platform I showed you. So anybody can kind of look up what's available. Student government plays a major role, and student leadership opportunities are everywhere. The other thing too is, I think I mentioned this, but I want to stress it. If no opportunities, no clubs are closed off by default to first year students or to visiting students. So if a student is coming here just even for one semester, there are plenty of ways for them to get involved. And I highly encourage them to look at that. And also, with the clubs, it's volunteer. So you pick how much you want to get involved. Academics obviously are most important. And that's something that we always keep in mind. So student government positions that are more demanding, there's a GPA requirement, stuff like that. So I really, I know that that's something too that people have in mind. Sometimes let's focus on classes and then get involved, but actually the students who get involved tend to do better in their classes. It's a little counterintuitive, but that's something also to keep in mind, especially if it's a club and they're just showing up once or twice a week and it's nothing to, and it's supposed to be fun and not stressful. So yeah, and if you have questions, Donna's your point person in this case. I kind of tried to pull up the chat, but I didn't see anything. I don't know, Donna, am I missing any questions that popped up?
Nope, we're good. We've been answering stuff. We did have some good questions. There was a question about travel that I answered in the chat that I'll just address here really quickly. Travel is definitely something that students do, especially when they're here for a semester, a year, 4 years, 6 years, however long. There's no set budget type conversation that I can really have with you on that. I know that's a question that comes up a lot. It's kind of up to your student as to how much they want to travel. I have one that barely leaves the perimeter of, actually I can't say that, he leaves it every Monday to go to soccer practice, but he doesn't leave any other time. And the other one has been to, I think, 15 countries. So it's really personal preference for your student. So that was the travel thing. I can
Yes.
second everything Safia said about student government and clubs and being involved and using Student Engage and all that good stuff. Yeah.
I think I want to mention just two last things, because about travel, you're right. For anyone interested, there's the Cultural Programs Office. I don't know if they know about that, because they're my neighbors. They organize the trips. So that's one structured way for students to go and their faculty present. So that's also a social thing. My colleague, she's right next to me, she runs that. And then something that's a good segue into handing it off to Liliana, that I also think is important to stress about the clubs is that in addition to being social, it's a great way for students to build their resumes and to gain experience outside the classroom. And we're lucky to have a dedicated faculty advisor to every club. So they're also working with professors and in the volunteer work. There's kind of a catch-22 between getting experience and getting that first internship, and extracurriculars are just a great way to beef up that resume so that they can get an internship by the time they're an upperclassman. So that's my last little plug there.
Okay, so I have one question that just came in about that. Can students start a club if they have a certain interest and there isn't already a club for that?
Yes, 100%. And that's what I'm here for. That goes through my office. Yep. And really the only requirement for starting a club is that there's no existing duplicate. We don't want duplicate clubs fighting with each other. But if it doesn't exist, they're welcome to get creative.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Safia.
Thank you.
So now we're going to turn to Ms. Liliana to talk to us about the GPS, or the Global Professional Skills Program. Did I say that right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, all AUP families and parents. And it's really a pleasure to be here today and to speak to you. I know you must be all very excited to see your student come to AUP very soon, in 9 days, you said, Donna, right? Indeed. So my name is Liliana, and I'm an academic and career advisor at AUP. I work in the Advising Center, and I'm also the manager of the Global Professional Skills co-curricular program. And so today I would like to speak about those two entities at AUP, GPS and the Advising Center, which are very powerful resources for your students at AUP. When I started at AUP, my father always told me that I was going to attend two universities, AUP and Paris, because Paris is just so full of resources. And my colleague Safia just mentioned that we are competing with Paris, but in fact, whatever students do while they're here at AUP, whether it's on campus or even off campus, would, in a sense, count towards their path through AUP, their experience. It will be an enriching experience because all of their co-curriculars, whether they happen on campus or off campus, would be counted towards their Global Professional Skills certificate. Now, what is that? There is an opportunity for students at AUP to earn a certificate in addition to their degree at AUP. It's called a GPS certificate, and it's a co-curricular certificate, and it's an opportunity for students to bring together all of their passions and interests and whatever they've accomplished outside of the classroom during their stay at AUP, and have it appear on their transcript and help them apply for jobs and opportunities after AUP. This program is designed to help students develop key skills that will prepare them for the post-AUP journey. It is also meant to help them realize how to take full advantage of what AUP has to offer. We have so many different resources, but students oftentimes don't know really where to start. So we have a series of design thinking workshops that are meant to help students, guide them in their choice of resources and how to approach co-curriculars and also their studies. The whole point of the GPS program is that students will have the confidence and the sense of purpose that they need to approach their studies with intentionality, so that they really know why they're studying what they're studying. So we believe at AUP very strongly in the fact that a student's co-curriculars, as Safia just mentioned, mentioned earlier, make students stronger and make them perform better in their courses. So we encourage students to get involved, to follow their passions, and to graduate with no regrets. And GPS comes to recognize all of that and these efforts. And it's a wonderful way for students to see that their interests and passions are recognized. So the GPS program consists of 15 different requirements, and students have their entire stay at AUP to complete it. It's no longer necessary for students to sign up for the GPS program. It is immediately available to them through the platform that Safia just showed to you, AUP Engage, which is where all events, workshops, and student organizations are announced. So pursuing a GPS certificate will allow your child to get integrated into the AUP community, to take full advantage of Paris and its opportunities, to learn more about themselves via the workshops that we offer, the exercises that we make available to them through their GPS path, and the activities that we have made available through Safi's office. We also allow through the GPS program students to fully enjoy and communicate the value of their AUP experience. In a sense, GPS creates a holistic and a structured pathway through AUP. And I have here a little slide that I wanted to share with you, which illustrates that idea. I hope you will be able to see it. Let me just share this. There you go. This is a recommended path through the GPS program that, as you can see, mimics a student's path through AUP, right? And we could also add students' courses along this path and other activities and family and friendships and all kinds of aspects of a student's life, right? It all feeds into a student's pathway. That's how we call it, the GPS pathway. And so students begin usually their pathway with a design thinking workshop, which is called Designing Your AUP, where they plan their AUP experience and they learn about all the resources that we have to offer at AUP. We go through a very detailed presentation of the different offices and services that we have on campus so that we know that students are fully aware of what AUP has to offer as an institution from their very first semester at AUP. Then we encourage students to get involved on campus, to join clubs, and to do some reflective exercises to learn more about themselves and what really makes them feel passionate and confident. There are a couple more workshops. Imagine, that's Designing Your Life, that looks a bit further down the road at AUP and beyond, when we ask students to imagine what their big dream is and how can they get there. And then finally, we have the Designing Your Narrative workshop, also called TEL, which teaches students how to tell their story with confidence and with a sense of purpose so that they can create a compelling narrative for themselves that they can then share with future employers or admission counselors or investors and thus prepare their post-AUP chapter. Finally, the last bit here that you see, the blue part, is where students get the opportunity to share their story. We have accompanied them throughout their way through AUP, and now at the end, we give them a platform where they can really develop their public speaking skills and get to share their story with an audience. We have a public speaking contest at AUP, which is called the GPS presentation panels, where students have the opportunity to share their personal story with, first of all, in the first round, they share it with a panel of professionals we call from outside of AUP. That gives them an excellent opportunity to share and really put themselves in a situation which is a real life situation where they have to apply for a job, for instance, or for a graduate program, and they have to really pitch themselves to those employers or hiring managers or admissions counselors. And then after that first round, we select the best personal narratives, and they get a chance to perform again at the GPS award ceremony, where students perform their personal narrative in front of the Board of Trustees and the entire AUP community. And the best personal narrative wins an award, the GPS award, which is 1,000 euros and a special certificate of accomplishment. And all students who manage to complete the program earn a certificate, as I mentioned earlier, that is part of their transcript. So they can really add this as a credential on their resume, and that would help them apply for jobs. And above all, they will be able to share this story with confidence and sense of purpose. So as of this year, we have 70% of AUP's undergraduates who are in one way or another involved with GPS. And we're hoping that in the years to come, we'll reach 100%. We're building stronger ties with academia in the sense that we encourage partnerships with courses that have an experiential learning component, so that students who take those courses could also earn GPS credit for them. We also strongly encourage academic research and practice that also helps students earn GPS credit. So there are many different ways in which students can bridge the curriculum and the co-curricular, and then learn how to articulate the value of their liberal arts degree and education, and be able to communicate about it to a larger audience after AUP or even before they finish their AUP studies. Here I wanted to show you a few pictures of happy GPS students at the GPS award ceremony this past spring with their families who were there to hear them present their personal narratives. It was a really beautiful moment, kind of an intimate commencement ceremony on the eve of the actual commencement ceremony, where parents got to hear their students' stories. It was really very touching. And now I wanted to say a few words about the A Center, where I work, which is the advising center at AUP. A stands for Academic, Career, and Experiential Learning Advising Center. It's located on the 3rd floor of the K building at AUP, and we are a team of 9 people who offer all kinds of different services to students, such as academic and career advising. Our mission is to support students and to empower them during their AUP journey and beyond. We also advise AUP alumni. We do this in 3 ways. We offer workshops, the design thinking workshop that I already mentioned through GPS, also degree planning workshops, where we sit down with students and we work with them with their degree planning worksheet, which is a tool we use very heavily at the AUP. Every student has a degree planning worksheet that helps them track their progress through their AUP degree. And as of this year, the GPS program is has been integrated into that degree worksheet. So that allows every student to track their curricular and co-curricular progress through AUP in a single place, which is very, very useful. Other workshops that we offer are career development workshops. We help students with power up their resume, learn how to use LinkedIn, how to prepare for a job interview, how to write a cover letter, for instance, how to look for a job in 2023, for instance, things like that. And we offer those workshops every single week of the semester. We also have a bunch of different resources that are available to students through our center. We have online resources, we have exercises through GPS Path, we have the GPS Lab, which is the space where we offer all of these workshops. We have a collection of career books on our floor. We have also the job and internship database that is available online and that all AUP students have access to. We have a bunch of different handouts available in print format and also online. And we have the Global Talent Portal, which is a portal where students can build their own profile and are seen by a number of different employers we work with at AUP. And finally, we have obviously people that work directly with students. We're a team of 9, as I mentioned earlier. We're career development counselors, advising counselors as well. And we work closely with faculty advisors. We train them and we offer office hours and individual appointments with students and all kinds of events, such as the career fair, for example, this upcoming September. on the 15th of September, we'll host a career fair at AUP. And so all of these events and workshops and opportunities for students are designed to really accompany them and support them throughout the way. If students have any questions, they can just come during office hours and ask them. We're there for them. We have an open door policy. If they feel like they need more attention and maybe have a more complicated query, then they can book an appointment with us and we'll sit down with them for 30 minutes and we'll go over their entire degree plan and we'll audit it and we'll figure out a way out of maybe a situation that has come up. And then if they want to learn and simply expand on their existing skills, then they can attend the workshops as many times as they want. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that all of these resources are available for all undergraduate students. We also have resources for graduate students, such as workshops and appointments, right? But the GPS program is for undergraduate students only and for degree seeking and non-degree seeking students as well. So as Safia mentioned earlier, even if your student will be here just for a semester, they can still get involved and they can still benefit from all of these resources and what the GPS program and the ACE Center have to offer. It doesn't really matter. We had a couple of years ago a visiting student from the American University in Cairo who managed to complete the entire GPS program in a single semester. That's how motivated she was. So there you go. Are there any questions, Donna?
We've answered all of them, and you actually answered the one that I was gonna ask you out loud. I would put a little asterisk. We don't recommend that you do the entire GPS program in one semester.
Well, I think what I would recommend is that students really start on the GPS program their very first semester,
Yes.
and they build upon it because it creates opportunities for students and it really opens doors. Another story I would like to share is about a student who graduated this past spring and who was missing one GPS requirement out of the 15 to be able to graduate, because something I think I didn't stress enough is that the completion of the GPS program allows students to actually complete their degree, because the completion of the GPS program satisfies an academic requirement, experiential learning. And so this student had opted for completing GPS to earn her degree, and she contacted me back in December saying, I need to do something, I need to complete GPS, what do I do? And I said, well, why don't you volunteer? And she said, oh, I'm not sure, I don't want to volunteer. She felt that she didn't have the time to do this. She wasn't really open to that idea. I managed to convince her, and she did volunteer with an NGO in Mexico that works with women that have been incarcerated and helps them find a first job once they get out of prison. She was so in love with this activity. She loved it so much that they actually offered to hire her after she volunteered, and it became her project post AUP. And she was so grateful that she got the opportunity to volunteer with them, because through GPS and through that volunteering opportunity, she actually came to pave her career path into the future. There you go. So yes, please take your time. That's what I would say to all students. Take your time to explore GPS and all that AUP has to offer. And the more time you invest in it, the more it will pay back.
The more you'll get out of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Liliana. I don't have
Thank
any
you.
additional questions. And now we're going to go over to Mr. Kevin, and we're going to talk about the Academic Resource Center. And I love talking about this because we have so many great resources for students. Awesome. So
Hi.
over to you, sir.
Hi, welcome everybody. So the Academic Resource Center. So I'm both the head of academic technology and I'm also the director of the Academic Resource Center. To be clear, it's a room on the 4th floor of the K building. So we're on the floor right above the ACE Center where Liliana is. And the first 3 floors, this is, remember, you're in France, so ground floor is actually 0. So floors 0, 1, and 2 are the library. So it's a place that we see a lot of students coming through. So the Academic Resource Center, also known as ARC, A-R-C, and our email is arc@aup.edu. I'll also post that somewhere, but it's very handy to get a hold of us. So what we are is we're a collaborative space. We're a collaborative space where students come in groups, singly. We have an open center area with tables and chairs, and we also have some reservable private rooms as well. So we offer a variety of services. One is a work together space, a collaborative space. Another thing that we offer is tutoring. So we work with the professors in the various departments, and we get recommendations for tutors every year. Now, we usually have about 15 or so tutors of different categories of knowledge, like it might be math or English or geography or science, whatever. So we have a full set of tutors, and they're available for any student to come and talk to. They can talk to them either in person and come in and make an appointment. We have walk-ins, just walk in and say there's an available tutor, we'll work with them. They can also make an appointment with them online and meet with them via Teams or Zoom or something like that. The ARC also houses the tutoring for the Writing Center. Now, they're not through us, but we sort of share our space with them. So we also have the Writing Center, and they're located there as well. So the Writing Center and the writing tutors are also there. And of course, we have a lot of cross-pollination between the tutors. It works quite well. Okay, so that's one thing we do. The second thing we do, which is actually very, very popular among our students, is we offer accommodations. So we now have beefed up our accommodation staff. We have a team of 2. And that is providing any learning accommodations students might need. So students come in, they have learning accommodations, we will work with them. The easiest way to get a hold of us is just use the email, arc@aup.edu. You can contact us and we can step you through that process. Usually we'll work with the people that they've been working with in whatever country they're coming from. If we need to make recommendations to them, we'll do that. We then gather their accommodations together. We then contact the professors. We make sure they're all notified. We make sure that anything that they need for those accommodations is provided for them. We even did go as far as we offer, proctored tests. So a lot of times, say somebody needs extra time and the test needs to be proctored. We work with the students, we work with the professors. They come in and say, we need this, and we take care of all of that for them. We even take the tests and deliver them back to the professors either digitally or on paper. So we do that. Another thing we do is in our space. So when you come into our space, big open area, on one end is the accommodations office. On the other end, we actually have an office housed by 2 librarians. And those librarians are open. Like I said, both doors are open all the time. You can come in and talk to us at any point. You can go talk to librarians for anything that you might want to need from them. And 2 librarians in there are actually Laurence and Michael. Another thing we offer is academic technology support. As most people, when they're going through even when they're in high school in the United States or middle school or high school, and of course in college, there are a number of digital tools that they use for the learning process. In the case of AUP, we use a learning management system called Blackboard. So I manage all those academic tools, and we've actually put in our own academic technology help desk that's on site. So students, if they have any questions, they can simply come to us. For instance, we get this question a lot. Hey, I was trying to hand in this paper and something happened and it didn't work. Just come in and ask us. We'll step them through the process. We'll see what's going on. Sometimes they'll come in to say the professor thinks this, or I can't see that, or the professor says there's an assignment, but I can't see it. That's our job, to be able to answer those questions, to be able to work with them. And we can work with them, like I said, in person. We can work via email. We'll meet them via Teams, via Zoom, whatever works. We'll be the go-between between them and the professor if we need to sort something out. So we do all of those types of things. And on top of that, we also provide support for the other academic tools. Like we have tools for doing video recording. We have tools for doing audio recording, things like that. And oftentimes we'll actually be asked to go into classes to help teach some of the technology-based things that certain classes are centered around. Like we have a class that likes to do podcasting. So they bring us in and we help do that process. We help teach them. We help provide support for the students. The other thing is, when you come to the ARC, and this is true also of the ACE Center as well, sometimes people come in and they have questions for us, which, quite frankly, it's not our stuff, but that's fine. They can come in and say, hey, XYZ, I need this or I need that. If it's not something we control or that we have the answer for, the one thing I can guarantee is they'll help them find out where it is. And it's none of this sort of like pointy stuff. We don't do any of that. It's basically, all right, come with me. I'm going to walk you over to the person you need to talk to. If it's an online kind of thing, all right, let's sit down. Let's write them an email. I'm going to CC myself. I'm going to introduce you to them. And this is the process I want you to go through. So they are free to come to us at any point and just say, hey, I'm not really sure where to go. I had one today come in and said, and it's really silly, but they said, do you know where the water dispenser is? In fact, I do. Here, let's take you to the water dispenser. Oh, with the bathroom that's not on this floor, it's on that floor over there. So we're always there to help the students. Now, the ARC itself, we staff it through regular business hours, but also the ARC itself is open later, and the tutors tend to stay in there quite late, so we have very, very long hours. We even, when it comes to the end of the semester and people are getting stressed, we actually organize a puppy petting day, and we bring puppies in and they can all get together and like, oh my God, let's pet the puppies so we're not so stressed about it. So we're always there trying to provide whatever service we can for the students. That's pretty much it. So my name is Kevin. They can always talk to me. They can talk to my accommodations team. They can talk to my Blackboard help desk. We're always here to help. And we're always here as well to accept questions. And sometimes we actually have students come in and they'll ask me, hey, this doesn't happen. Can this be fixed? I want to hear from them, because my main goal is that we're providing the proper kind of support and tools for the students and the instructors to be able to have their experience be as smooth, right, and as effective as possible. That's all I got.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you. I do have one question for you. Accommodations. If people are wanting to or needing to set up their accommodations prior to arrival, should they email their admissions counselor or ARC? Okay.
No. Email ARC and it will take care of connecting them to whoever they need to connect to. Okay. We'll also get back to them and say, okay, we need these documents. If you don't have these documents, then we can help them make appointments. And if we need to connect them to their admissions counselor, we'll automatically send them there. So awesome. Email us first. We have to kind of get that together, and then we'll reach out to whoever who needs to be part of that. And that also includes sometimes, so we do learning accommodations. Occasionally we have people who need accommodations, say a physical accommodation, like they get into a certain, like they're here and so I have this kind of issue getting around. Well, we'll then go look, where is that class being held? Is there an elevator in that building? And then we'll work with whoever we need to work to make sure, let's make sure that's accessible, make sure they can get into that. So we will reach out to the people who do those things as well. So.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. All right.
I made my 10-minute.
I did. I'll do a really good job.
I have my little timer going too. I'm like, oh, it hasn't gone off yet.
Good job. Well, I was going to just say, in the interest of time, if we don't have any additional questions, I just have a few. I'll just reiterate some housekeeping things. What we really want parents and families and students, obviously students are the focus of what we do. They are who we are. They are why we're here. We really want you to know that we are here for your students. Everyone at AUP is absolutely 100% committed to making sure that your student has the best and most productive time at AUP that they possibly can. Our doors are always open. Parents at aup.edu, if you have questions, if you're at a moment where your child has said, oh my gosh, this thing has happened and I don't know where to go, you can always email me. Or you can always look at them and say, have you gone to the ARC? Have you gone to the ACE Center? Have you talked to your professor? That is one of the benefits of having students at AUP, is that everyone's super accessible. There's no 400-person lecture halls. We're all here to help. So with that, I see that Kevin is typing an answer about the laptop at AUP. And if you have any other questions, again, parents at aup.edu. If you have questions about pre-arrival, if you have any questions regarding your orientation schedule or the shuttle, please email your admissions counselor, admissions@aup.edu. We are getting on a plane today. Most of you are getting on a plane in this next week. I look forward to seeing you on campus. I'll be at housing landing day, both on Saturday and Monday. And then we have our in-person orientations on the 29th and 30th. Next week, we do have 2 more virtual sessions. Virtual session on Tuesday will be Life in Paris, health, safety, and just some campus resources. We'll talk more about the physical activity and self-care. I always mess his thing up. It's the PAS office. So we'll talk more about that there. We'll also talk about our health resources then. And then on Wednesday is our landing day and housing move-in webinar. So we'll talk about what to expect for when you land in Paris, when you move into your apartment, and then kind of what student orientation is going to look like. So with that, I'm just checking to make sure when Kevin's done answering the question, or if you want to, do you want to answer it out loud, Kevin? You can do that too.
Yeah, I was gonna a lot of writing for me. Yeah, so the question was, is there a preferred laptop for use at AUP? So no, we're not dictating whether they should use Mac OS or Windows. Either one's fine. A majority of AUP students do tend to use Macs. Why? We see a lot of them. Same with the instructors. A lot of them tend to use Macs, but neither one is really an issue. The two things I would recommend, Chromebooks tend to be problematic because they have some limitations. So I probably wouldn't get a Chromebook. The other thing is like not a really, really old laptop, like, from 1850 or something like that, simply because most of the tools that we use are browser based, and especially the learning management system Blackboard. And this is true of all learning management systems, no matter where you are. I've been in this about almost 20 years, so I can guarantee this next part. They usually require that the browser be within the last 2 or 3 versions to be able to function properly. So a super old laptop might be problematic not being able to update to the newest browser. So I would say, a few years old is good. It could be Mac, it could be Windows. It could even be Linux, but then that becomes a little problematic because some of the tools they use may not work in Linux. So I would say Mac and Windows are fine, relatively new, but it doesn't have to be brand spanking new.
Awesome. All right. Well, I can say that my students both have Macs, but I work on a PC and a Mac. So
Yeah.
I'm one of those people
Yeah.
that does all of the things, as I think some of us do. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We will have this recording posted early next week. I did post the recording link. It will be on the AUP family orientation page. So if you go to the family webpage and then scroll down, it says register for orientation. That actually will take you to the orientation webpage, and that's where the recordings will be. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much to all of you. We are super excited to have your students come and join us. We are so looking forward to this academic year. And thank you for joining us. We appreciate you, and have a great day wherever you are.